Okay, so imagine this. You walk into a busy retail store, and every night, hundreds of dollars in inventory just vanishes.
Oof.
Yeah, just gone.
Right.
And no one even seems to care.
Right.
You'd think that's crazy, right?
Right.
But that is the kind of baffling reality that we're diving into today.
Yeah.
The wild world of surgical instrument management in U.S. hospitals.
It is pretty mind-boggling when you really think about it.
Yeah,
We're talking about essential equipment, very expensive in a lot of cases, that just disappears.
exactly. And that's what we are kind of dissecting today with this article, the costly chaos of surgical asset management.
Right.
And we know we've got like hospital administrators, med device innovators, and sterile processing or SPD professionals all listening in. So why should you care about a few missing scalpels and forceps,
Yeah.
right? Well, buckle up,
Yeah.
because this isn't just about lost tools.
Right.
It's about lost money,
Yeah.
potential delays, and even patient safety.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
This chaos just has like ripple effects throughout the whole system.
Yeah.
The article points out a pretty startling statistic.
Okay.
Only 60 to 70% of U.S. hospitals are using electronic asset management systems for their surgical instruments.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That means a huge chunk of hospitals are relying on pen and paper to track these vital tools
Yeah.
in this day and age.
Yeah, it's like trying to navigate a complex maze with a hand-drawn map.
Right.
And, even in hospitals that do have electronic systems,
Yeah.
they're often underutilized,
Really?
which begs the question, why is it a lack of training,
Right.
resistance to change, or something else entirely?
Yeah, it's fascinating and a little bit frightening to think about the potential consequences.
Yeah.
The article even uses the phrase culture of chaos
Mm-hmm.
to describe what's happening in many operating rooms or ORs across the country.
That really captures the essence of the problem, I think.
Yeah.
This fast-paced environment combined with the lack of robust tracking
Yeah.
leads to some unbelievable situations.
Okay.
Imagine a scenario where an entire sternal saw set ends up in the trash.
Whoa, seriously? You're kidding, right?
I wish I was.
Wow.
The author cites real examples.
Okay.
Surgeons cutting cords on Doppler probes that just needed a minor repair.
Oh, wow.
Bandage scissors disappearing into scrub pockets, towel clips getting tossed out with the drapes.
It's like a scavenger hunt gone wrong.
It is.
But with incredibly high
Oh,
stakes.
for sure.
And speaking of high stakes,
Yeah.
the article talks about the high cost of expediency. Essentially, hospitals prioritizing speed over meticulous instrument management.
Right.
But doesn't that just lead to more problems and ultimately more expenses down the line?
You're absolutely right.
Yep.
It's that classic case of short-term gain, long-term pain.
Right.
Think about the constant need to replace instruments.
Yeah.
The repair costs, the time wasted searching for missing tools.
Right.
It all adds up.
So what's the solution?
Yeah.
How do we break free from this culture of chaos?
Well, the author proposes a pretty intriguing concept called frontline clinical accounting.
Okay, I have to admit that sounds a little intimidating.
Right.
Break it down for us. What
Yeah.
does that even mean?
Imagine this. You're a surgical tech in the OR.
Okay.
You're not just responsible for handing instruments to the surgeon, you're also actively involved in tracking those instruments in real time.
Yeah.
You're essentially becoming a mini accountant for your surgical supplies.
So it's about shifting the responsibility from just the SPD department to the entire surgical team.
Yeah.
Everyone becomes accountable for these valuable resources.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about creating a culture of what they call perioperative accountability.
Right.
And that includes everyone involved.
Yeah.
From pre-op to post-op surgeons, nurses, techs, or coordinators, administrators. Everyone has a role to play.
That makes a lot of sense, but how do you actually enforce that accountability?
The author floats a pretty radical idea labeling instrument trays with their total replacement cost.
Like a price tag on a surgical kit?
Yeah,
That's a bold move.
it is.
I'm intrigued, though. What's the logic behind that?
It's all about creating like a visual reminder of the financial impact of carelessness.
Right.
If you see a tray labeled, $10,000, you might think twice before tossing it in the trash or leaving instruments all over the place.
That's a really clever way to raise awareness and encourage people to take ownership.
Yeah.
But even with the best intentions, hospitals can't just jump into these solutions without laying the groundwork right.
You're absolutely right. You can't build a house on a shaky foundation.
Right.
The article stresses the critical importance of what they call data cleansing. getting those messy inventory records in order before implementing any new tracking system.
So no more mystery instruments or outdated count sheets.
Right.
It's about creating a clear and accurate baseline.
Exactly. You can't manage what you can't measure.
Right.
Yeah, it's like starting a road trip with like a faulty GPS.
Yeah.
You're bound to get lost along the way, but accurate data is just the first step.
Right, because we've talked about the shocking prevalence of like poor instrument management.
Right.
And those instrument escapades and the financial burden it creates.
Exactly. And it's not just about the dollars and cents, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's a patient safety angle here that's impossible to ignore.
Oh, absolutely. Delays in surgery, because an instrument is MIA.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare scenario for everyone involved. The patient, the surgical team, the hospital.
You nailed it. And think about the potential for infection if instruments aren't properly sterilized because they were lost in the shuffle.
Right.
The consequences can be really serious.
It's a sobering thought. So where do we go from here? The article doesn't offer like a magic solution,
Right.
but it highlights a need for a systemic shift
Mm-hmm.
in how hospitals approach instrument management. What do you think is the biggest takeaway for our listeners today?
I think it's the realization that this isn't a problem for just one department to solve.
Right.
It's not enough to just throw money at new technology or tell people to be more careful.
Right.
You need like a culture shift.
Right.
A collective understanding that everyone in the perioperative environment plays a role in protecting these valuable assets.
So it's not just an SPD issue, it's a hospital-wide issue.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It has to be like a collaborative effort.
Okay.
Hospital administrators need to prioritize this issue, allocate resources, and create a culture of accountability.
Okay.
Med device companies have a responsibility to develop innovative tracking solutions and work with hospitals to implement them effectively. And of course, SPD professionals are on the front lines advocating for better practices within their departments and ensuring that those instruments are meticulously cared for.
I can see how this collaborative approach would resonate with our listeners, especially the med device innovators who are constantly looking for ways to improve surgical workflows.
Right.
But honestly, it feels like this problem's been around forever.
Right.
Why do you think hospitals have been slow to address it?
That's a good question. I think there's a tendency to underestimate the financial impact of lost or damaged instruments. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day chaos of running a hospital and overlook these seemingly small inefficiencies.
Right.
But as we've seen, those inefficiencies add up quickly.
That's true. Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah.
But if hospitals really grasp the financial implications, they'd be much more motivated to find solutions.
I think you're right. There's also a fear of acknowledging a problem, especially one that seems so basic.
Yeah.
No one wants to admit that they're losing thousands of dollars worth of equipment each year.
Right.
It's easier to just sweep it under the rug and hope it goes away.
That's such a human reaction. But in this case, it's costing them time, money, and potentially putting patients at risk. But enough about the problems.
Right.
Let's shift gears and talk about the future. This article hints at some really exciting possibilities. What stands out to you?
Well, I'm a bit of a tech geek at heart, so I'm particularly intrigued by the potential of AI and machine learning to revolutionize surgical asset management. Just imagine a system that could not only track instruments in real time, but also predict which instruments will be needed for specific surgeries.
Wow, that would be incredible. You were talking about optimized inventory, reduced waste, and no more last-minute scrambles to find the right tool.
Exactly. And let's not forget about the potential for automation. Robots could assist with instrument cleaning and sterilization, freeing up SPD staff to focus on more complex tasks that could lead to like a major shift in how we view the profession, attracting new talent and elevating the role of sterile processing.
It's fascinating to think about the ripple effects of these technological advancements.
Yeah.
SPD could become like a hub for high-tech expertise,
Right.
attracting a whole new generation of tech-savvy professionals. That's a far cry from the image of sterile processing as just manual labor.
It really is. And there's another exciting area we haven't even touched on yet, the power of data analytics by collecting and analyzing data on instrument usage patterns.
Yeah.
Hospitals could identify opportunities for optimization, make smarter purchasing decisions, and ultimately reduce waste.
It's like taking a deep dive into the data
Yeah.
to uncover hidden insights and make the entire system more efficient. No more ordering instruments that just gather dust on a shelf.
It's about moving from reactive to proactive, using data-driven insights to stay ahead of the curve.
Okay, so we've got AI automation, data analytics. It sounds like the future of surgical asset management is going to be pretty high tech.
It is.
But what about the human element? Will robots eventually replace SPD technicians entirely?
That's an important question, and one that I think deserves careful consideration. Technology is an incredibly powerful tool,
Right.
but it's not a replacement for human expertise. We still
Yeah.
need skilled professionals to manage these systems, interpret the data, and ensure that patient safety remains the top priority.
So it's not a question of humans versus robots. It's about finding the right balance, the right synergy between human expertise and technological innovation.
That's exactly right. And when we achieve that balance, I think we'll see some truly remarkable advancements in the field of surgical asset management.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful conversation, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this complex topic.
Yeah.
What final thought would you leave our listeners with today?
I think the biggest takeaway for our listeners today, whether they're hospital administrators, med device innovators, or those working in sterile processing, is that the future of surgical asset management is about collaboration and embracing innovation.
I love that it's not about pointing fingers or sticking with the status quo.
Right.
It's about working together to find creative solutions.
Exactly. And that's why I'm so excited about the possibilities that lie ahead.
Yeah.
We're on the cusp of a major transformation in how we manage these critical assets, and those who are willing to embrace change will be the ones leading the way.
So what does that look like in practice? What
Yeah.
specific steps can our listeners take to be a part of this transformation?
Well, for hospital administrators, it starts with recognizing the true costs of poor instrument management.
Right.
It's about moving beyond those short-term budget constraints and investing in long-term solutions that will ultimately save time and money, not to mention improve patient safety.
That makes sense. It's about shifting the mindset from viewing instrument management as a necessary expense
Yeah.
to seeing it as a strategic investment.
Absolutely. And for the med device innovators out there, it's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Okay.
It's about developing those cutting-edge tracking systems, exploring the potential of AI and robotics, and collaborating with hospitals to implement these solutions in a way that truly streamlines workflows.
So it's not just about creating cool new gadgets.
Right?
It's about understanding the needs of the end users and working together to create a more efficient and effective system.
Exactly. And for the SPD professionals who are listening, you are the unsung heroes of the surgical world. Your expertise is invaluable, and your role in this transformation is crucial.
I couldn't agree more. These are the people who are on the front lines every single day,
They are.
ensuring that instruments are meticulously cared for and that surgical procedures run smoothly.
And that's why it's so important for SPD professionals to embrace those continuing education opportunities,
Right.
stay up to date on the latest technologies, and advocate for best practices within their departments.
So to sum it all up, the future of surgical asset management is collaborative, innovative, and ultimately patient-centric.
I couldn't have said it better myself, and perhaps the most important takeaway for you to consider today is this: how can you contribute to shaping this exciting future? What skills will you need to develop? What partnerships will you need to forge the future of surgical asset management is in your hands.